From a woman brutally murdered in Los Angeles to an individual sending anthrax by mail letters. What went wrong, and who are these 7 criminals that managed to evade capture so masterfully? Could you be the one to finally crack the code, or do these cases hide secrets that are destined to remain buried forever? Let's begin at number 1. One of the most puzzling cases the FBI has ever faced is that of D.B. Cooper. In 1971, a man identified only as D.B. Cooper hijacked a plane flying from Portland to Seattle. After demanding $200,000 in cash and 4 parachutes, he leaped out of the plane mid-flight, disappearing into the wilderness below. Despite extensive searches and numerous theories, Cooper was never caught, and his identity remains unknown. The question that lingers to this day is, how did he manage to vanish without a trace? Did he survive the jump? Was he someone with special military or aviation training, or was it just sheer luck? The mystery of D.B. Cooper continues to fascinate both amateur sleuths and professional investigators, leaving everyone wondering how someone could pull off such a daring escape and simply vanish from existence. Number 2. While Cooper's case leaves us scratching our heads, the gruesome murder of Elizabeth Short, better known as the Black Dahlia, leaves us horrified. In 1947, Short's mutilated body was discovered in a vacant lot in Los Angeles. The brutality of the crime shocked the nation, and her case became one of the most infamous unsolved murders in American history. Despite an intense investigation, the killer was never identified. Short's body had been cut in half, drained of blood, and posed in a way that suggested her killer had a deep, twisted obsession. Over the years, numerous suspects were questioned and dozens of theories emerged, but the truth has remained elusive. How could someone commit such a heinous act and evade capture for so long? The Black Dahlia murder still captivates the public's imagination, making it one of the most chilling unsolved cases in FBI history. Now, at number 3. Going back further in time, we find ourselves in the chaotic streets of 1920s New York, where the Wall Street bombing took place. On a sunny afternoon in September 1920, a horse-drawn cart exploded in the heart of Wall Street, killing more than 30 people and injuring hundreds. The bombing sent shockwaves throughout the financial district, but despite extensive investigations, the person, or group, behind the attack was never found. Many believed that anarchists or communists were responsible, given the political climate at the time, but solid evidence never materialized. The Wall Street bombing remains one of the oldest unsolved terrorist attacks in U.S. history. To this day, the explosion's mastermind remains a ghost, lost to time and buried under the rubble of forgotten leads. And in number 4, jumping forward to 1981, another Hollywood tragedy has left us with more questions than answers. Natalie Wood, a beloved actress, drowned under mysterious circumstances while on a yacht with her husband, Robert Wagner, and fellow actor, Christopher Walken. The case was initially ruled an accidental drowning, but as details emerged, the circumstances surrounding her death became increasingly suspicious. There were rumors of an argument on the yacht the night she died, and new witnesses came forward years later. In 2011, the case was reopened, but despite the renewed interest and investigation, the exact details of what happened to Natalie Wood remain a mystery. Did she fall overboard, or was foul play involved? The uncertainty surrounding her death has fueled speculation for decades, and it remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in Hollywood history. If you are enjoying these chilling mysteries, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated when we unravel the world's most perplexing unsolved cases. Now let's continue in this intrigue video, now with some serial killers, unsolved cases. Moving on to number 5. Serial killers are some of the most terrifying criminals, and perhaps one of the most notorious unsolved cases is that of the Cleveland torso murderer. Between 1935 and 1938, at least 13 people were brutally murdered and dismembered in Cleveland, Ohio. The victims were often found in pieces, with some of their torsos completely unrecognizable. The killer, who became known as the Cleveland torso murderer, preyed on the most vulnerable, targeting the homeless and destitute. Despite the efforts of law enforcement, including legendary lawman Eliot Ness, the killer was never caught. The unsolved nature of this case leaves us wondering what dark secrets the city of Cleveland might still be hiding. But the Cleveland torso murderer is not the only serial killer to evade capture. And at number 6, between 1968 and 1969, California was terrorized by the Zodiac Killer, a murderer who sent taunting letters and cryptic messages to the police and the media. The Zodiac claimed responsibility for several killings, and his letters often included ciphers that he dared investigators to solve. Despite the FBI's best efforts and one of the largest manhunts in history, the Zodiac Killer was never caught. Who was the Zodiac Killer, and why did he suddenly stop? Was he ever close to being caught? The Zodiac's true identity continues to be a puzzle, taunting investigators and armchair detectives alike. And finally, one of the more recent cases that shook the nation was the 2001 Anthrax attacks. Just weeks after the September 11th attacks, letters containing anthrax spores were sent to news outlets and politicians, killing 5 people and infecting 17 others. The letters caused widespread panic, and the FBI launched an extensive investigation, interviewing over 100,000 people and examining thousands of pieces of evidence. Initially, suspicion fell on a government scientist named Bruce Ivins, but after his suicide in 2008, the case went cold. To this day, the full details of the anthrax attacks remain unclear, and many believe that there are still unanswered questions about who was truly responsible. Was Ivins guilty, or was he a scapegoat for a larger conspiracy? The unanswered questions surrounding the anthrax attacks have kept the case alive in the public's mind, reminding us how vulnerable we are to unseen threats. The FBI's extensive investigations into cases like the anthrax attacks, D.B. Cooper, the Black Dahlia, and the Zodiac Killer show just how complex and baffling some crimes can be. With modern technology and vast resources, it's hard to believe that these criminals have managed to escape justice. Yet, they have. These cases serve as reminders that not all mysteries can be solved, no matter how hard we try. They leave behind an eerie sense of unfinished business, a trail of evidence that never quite leads to the truth. Now that we've explored these unsolved mysteries, which one do you think will ever be solved, if any? Or are some secrets simply destined to remain buried forever? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if this dive into the FBI's coldest cases left you craving more unsolved mysteries, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to The Speedy Secret, and press the bell icon so you'll never miss our next deep dive into the world's most puzzling crimes.